All right, hi everybody. Welcome back again. We are here on Thursday with John, Melbourne's favourite naturopath. Thank you again for joining us, Dad. And today is all about hormone balance, correct?
Indeed.
Good, good. Okay, well, let's get right into it again. So, okay, my first question then when it comes to hormone balance is, I'm a woman, I'm 43, I've got my own hormonal challenges as well. But my question to you, Dad, is what are the ways that women can achieve balance with their hormones? And when I say balance, I mean a lot of us, we go through periods of weight gain, we go through challenges and issues, even just with our monthly cycles. Some friends of mine feel nauseous and vomit during their monthly cycle. Then we've got other women heading towards the end of that part of the hormone life, I guess, where they're entering into menopause and they have a whole new set of challenges there as well. My question to you is, how can we achieve balance in a more natural way? That's my first question.
Well, that is a question that we can spend 3 or 4 days talking about, but watch how we are going to encapsulate everything in the next 10, 15 minutes and make it easy for people to understand what's going on. The last maybe 60 years or so will be known as the Dark Ages as far as medicine is concerned when it applies to female hormone balancing. Physicians have been prescribing hormonal supplements for women without having any idea what their hormone levels are and what their hormone levels become once they use the patches and the tablets and the pill and this and that and the other. They have absolutely no idea. So we'll leave that till the end, and I think we will concentrate on natural ways of making sure that we do everything we can to balance our hormones, which is the best way, because the other way, which is bioidentical hormone balancing now, is a very expensive way. It's very effective, but it's very expensive. So let's have a look at the natural ways of doing this and the gentle herbal balances that exist out there, and the best form to have these, because they come in pills that you swallow and liquids that you swallow and creams that you apply, and there's a huge difference between them, and we'll talk about that as well. So firstly, I'd like to talk about nutrition, if I may. And the reason for that is magnesium, for example, normalizes the action of progesterone. Yeah? Magnesium also relieves symptoms of postmenopausal distress. Magnesium activates vitamin D. Without sufficient magnesium, vitamin D doesn't work. And again, vitamin D helps the hormones work better. The old thyroid is the metronome in the system. That means it's the thing that goes tick tock, or tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, and regulates the production of hormones in general. So it's unwise to start looking at balancing hormones, as we said before, with bioidentical hormones or whatever, without having your thyroid working at its proper capacity, because that's the main regulator of hormones. Now, so for thyroid to work well, there's a few things that we need. We need B6, and some people can't use B6, the old MTHFR genetic variants. That means that you can't use some vitamins and you have to use the activated vitamins, but we'll get into that in a moment. So B6 is essential, or the activated form, which is called P5P. Selenium is essential. Without selenium, you can't make thyroid hormone very well. Iodine goes without saying. Everybody knows that iodine helps the manufacture of the thyroid hormone. And with tyrosine and all of these that I mentioned a moment ago, you make thyroid. Then it's called T4. Then this goes to the liver and the liver converts it to T3, which is the active hormone, which is the actual metronome that we were talking about a moment ago. Now, in order to convert this, it needs iodine. We need to be replete in iodine. That means we need to be full of iodine. So you can see how, even though mostly we seem to be talking about testosterone, progesterone, estrogen when we talk about hormones to do with menopause and regulating the period, etc., we also need some other things that have to be there in order to ensure that everything is balanced. Now, for example, Harper's Biochemistry, which is the final year doctor's biochemistry book, yeah, says that the effect of hormones is blunted when cellular calcium is depleted. Now we're talking about cellular calcium, not just calcium in the body, but cellular calcium, yeah? Vitamin C. Research has shown that women who take vitamin C have significantly increased levels of progesterone in the systems. And we're looking at something like 750 milligrams of vitamin C per day, which is a fair amount of vitamin C, yeah? And so zinc has a serious impact on many of the enzymes in the body and is essential for the production of progesterone. And so what we find is that here we are talking about good nutrition. We are talking about vitamins and minerals. We are talking about things that may not immediately come to mind when we are talking about hormones. And so we have the best in nutritional supplements in terms of minerals and vitamins and so on. So that can eliminate that part of hormonal balancing. Then we are looking at the gentle herbal formulations that help balance the hormones. And there are some tablets which are amazing. And there's also a cream, which is fantastic because when you apply the cream to the body, it bypasses the stomach, it bypasses the liver, and it doesn't depend on absorption or anything like that. This cream contains chaste tree. Another word for that is Vitex agnus castus, in case people know it in both ways, yeah? And it also contains friendly estrogen stimulants as well, like wild yam. And this cream we have found in our family, and you remember that we have 4 beautiful ladies in our family, and I'm sure that you remember that all of you, all the children and all mum has been using this cream for the last 25 years. And we have found it absolutely incredibly effective. I remember when the youngest one of us, little Stephanie, was doubled over one day. And I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "Oh, I have my period." And I said, "Oh, sweetheart, aren't you using the cream?" And she said, "Dad, don't be silly. I'm in the middle of exams. If I use the cream, I won't know when my period is coming and I could start bleeding in the exams." And you remember our older sister and how much she suffered all her life. And then when she was about 16, 17, and the cream came out on the market, her life was misery. 4 or 5 days of ovulation pain and a whole week of period pain. And then suddenly it was like shifting from Siberia to Hawaii, like you see behind me. Lovely weather, lovely life. So that cream is absolutely essential. So from a natural perspective, look after your nutrition, look after your vitamin D, look after your manganese, magnesium, zinc, iron. All of these things have a direct impact on the balancing of hormones, progesterone, and so on. Another thing that is extremely important, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday, is stress. If I can show you this piece of paper, and this is the hormone production pathways, you can see that there are generally 4 lines. Yeah, you can see that there's 4 lines. So the first line is the progesterone line, yeah? The second line is the cortisol line, cortisone and cortisol line. The third line is the estrogen line, and the fourth line is the testosterone and DHEA line. On top of everything is cholesterol. Hello, good old cholesterol. You know, cholesterol is not the enemy, really, but we need to manufacture a fair amount of cholesterol. So the reason I said there are 4 legs, and one of them is the cortisol leg, is that when we are stressed, and you know, some people are chronically stressed. They're in a bad situation in the social side of things, or in a bad situation with the family side of things, or a bad situation with work, or bad situation with money. When we have this chronic stress going on, all the energy is directed towards the cortisol leg so that the adrenals produce more cortisol. And the rest of the legs suffer. There's less progesterone produced, less estrogens produced, less testosterone and so on produced. So eliminating stress is very, very important. And we won't go again into the ways of eliminating stress. So recapitulating, nutrition is important, even though it appears not to be directly involved in hormonal production. Stress is important. And the cream and the tablets that I mentioned before are absolutely fantastic in balancing the hormones, and should be tried first, in my opinion, before you start looking at bioidentical hormonal balancing. Yeah.
Okay, that was very thorough. Can we just stretch your time a tiny bit more? So I'm assuming that this, what you've mentioned about this bioidentical hormone testing, if all of the things that you've just talked about, say we do all of that and we take care of our nutrition, we do make an effort to look after our stress. What if we need something more? What if we're not quite there yet with the balance? Can you tell us a bit more about that testing, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a very important question. And I think people should know what goes on with this. So the first thing that we have to do is determine accurately where our present levels of hormones are. And as I said earlier, if we are going to be thorough about that, we eliminate any thyroid problems and make sure that our thyroid is where it should be. And then the golden standard of hormonal testing is called the 24-hour urine test. And the reason for that is because hormones fluctuate during the day quite markedly. And we were lucky to get a result that a doctor asked the patient to take a hormonal reading every 2 or 3 days throughout the entire 28-day cycle. So she took her hormones on day 1, day 3, day 5, day 8, day 11, day 12, and so on, all the way through to day 28. And what we could see from this, and it's absolutely incredible, the hormone levels would fluctuate wildly, so that one day they were below normal and 2 days later they were above normal. And you obviously cannot take therapeutic decisions when it's like this. That's why the golden standard is the 24-hour urine test. Also, the 24-hour urine test includes the metabolites, of estrogen, which are the important ones because they can cause damage, they can cause cancer. And so, having done a 24-hour urine test, we prepare a report for the people to go to their doctor and show. We don't want people to change doctors. They can go to their own doctor. But we just prepare a report so they can go to their own doctor who they love, who they have a relationship with over the years, and say, I've had this test done, and this is the report that I got from my naturopath. What do you think? And then it'll be easy for the doctor to either ring us up and discuss it or prescribe on the basis of the report that we give. Yeah.
Beautiful. That's awesome. Thank you, Dad. Is there anything else we need to say on this subject? Again, I know you can fill a lot of time on it, but in 30, 60 seconds, any last thoughts? That's been really interesting.
Well, I think that it's hard. And, you know, we talked about people who can't use the vitamin B6, and we talked about strange things like that. We talked about the xenoestrogens that are in our personal care products, and maybe we'll talk more about that in another talk. And when it comes to these things, it's so important. These xenoestrogens are everywhere. Pesticides, herbicides, the wax on the apples is full of pesticides because it retains the pesticides. Yeah. And so that might be another talk that we do to find out all these xenoestrogens and where they are found and how we can avoid them. Yeah. And I think that would be a very good thing to speak towards, maybe whenever you have a chance.
Yeah, that sounds good. Actually, that's on tomorrow,
Ah,
Friday. Our item, what we're going to be asking you tomorrow as a heads up is all about these harmful ingredients, the toxins in our products all around us, and how we can avoid them. So that's a nice segue. Thanks, Dad. Look, that's been really good information. Again, I learned a lot as well. I can vouch for that cream that you mentioned because I'm an avid user and have been since I was 16. So Dad, thank you again for your time, for your knowledge. Everyone's really enjoying it from what I can tell from the comments. And we appreciate it. And we wish you a lovely day of naturopathing.
thank you so much. You're wonderful. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in.
Okay, Dad, see you tomorrow.
Bye.